An invitation calls to us from the carnival of the dazzling night. So we beat on the door of this flipped world, brought here by fate. Time harmonizes, laughs and screams. A dizzying flicker, a light that blinds and deceives. And from that great beyond, that voice rings out again. Here, come inside the castle. Take everything. Hello, and welcome back. We briefly talked about the carnival in one of my previous videos, where we broke down some of the lore behind Under the Skin. Today, we'll be discussing just what that carnival is in the story of andteam, and its connection to the hybe universe. So, what is a carnival to you? Some of you may think of Ferris wheels, cotton candy, candy apples, and games, while others may think of fun festivals with Venetian masks and delicious feasts. They're dreamlike, maybe even magical. A place where once you go, you almost never want to leave. Carnivals have made their appearance in a number of hybe music videos, lyric videos, songs, and even concept photos, with some subtle similarities between each one. And while TXT describes the carnival as a place of magic, enhypen describes it as a place of chaos, where order is overthrown. With this, one might assume that they're completely separate carnivals, with their only similarity being in the name. However, I believe them to be connected, maybe even being the same place. From what we've heard, the carnival is a world of dreams. Though, we could probably also call it a paradise. A world of desires. It manifests itself in different ways and invites its guests to take part in its attractions. And while we've seen an invitation in enhypen's Border Carnival album, it's definitely not the only place we've seen it. An invitation, after all, can also be described as a temptation, a calling. I reach past the locked door. Pain welcomes me, a feast of thirst. I feel it. My head's in a daze. I'm addicted, I replay, trapped in the carnival. When they reach this door, what do they see? What desires or temptations waits for them, and eventually entraps them within? I believe that one of the blessings promised to the groups is a gift of time, or more so, power over time, with each having their own desires on how to use it. Now, while you've heard me mention the carnival in connection to enhypen, we do actually see the carnival in connection to TXT as well, in their music video, Blue Hour. I'd first like to preface this by saying that at the moment, I don't know too much about the TXT lore just yet, outside of some theories I've heard in connection to enhypen. But I do like their music, and I do plan on diving more into their world. But for right now, I'm focusing a little more on our vampires and werewolves, especially because TXT's lore looks really good and I know I'll just get sucked in, so I'm taking my time with them. The music video starts with a boy sleeping in a tree, its branch stretching out towards an orange sky, and in the distance, we see a Ferris wheel. With its enchanting view, it seems to almost call to them, this carnival of dreams. The Ferris wheel and the carousel definitely would be mentioned a few times throughout the video, as we see it a multitude of times in their stories. Within media and literature, both of these attractions allude to two things, life and time, mostly due to their circular shape. A circle, after all, has no beginning or end, and goes on for eternity, much like time. And if you think of it in relation to life, life starts when you get on the ride and continues on until you finally get off. The horses and various creatures can also represent the ups and downs of life. These, of course, can also allude to other things as well, like innocence and youth. After the appearance of the carnival, the boys then move like a clock and soon find themselves at a carousel, chanting the words "Blue Hour." Throughout the song, as they enter this dreamlike world, they sing about their desire to stay here at the hour between dog and wolf, trapped in magic. They also talk about their desire to freeze this moment. After some digging, and by digging I mean looking up their lyrics, I did learn that the time in particular they are referring to is 5:53, which was when the sun would set at the time of the music video's release. And, much like what they refer to in their music video, a time between two worlds. Which honestly completely reminds me of the movie Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name, which if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend. In the movie, they refer to this particular time as Kate Waridoki. Much like Blue Hour, it's a time where two worlds meet. It's a time of magic. Again, I don't know too much of the TXT lore at the moment, so I'm not too sure of what reason they'd like to freeze time, or the importance of magic in their worlds. But I do believe that they may have, within the story happening in Blue Hour at least, actually frozen time, or at least re-experienced a moment using their time machine. After the time machine is mentioned in the song, we're taken to this moment in an empty field, where they put on a coat and hat and sing these lyrics. The day we danced as if it were eternity. Turn left and slide, we danced all night. Woo-hoo, here we go, holding on to the last of you. Do it one more time, do it one more time. And, with a snap from Yeonjun, the dance happens again. But this time, the dance changes. The day we danced together. Turn around and stop, we danced all night. Up, down, here we go, holding on to the last of you. Do it one more time, do it one more time. To which we see the Ferris wheel once again, and the sun begins to set, marking the end of this Blue Hour. I'd also like to note that this moment in particular is actually missing from the version you hear on Spotify, although I'm not sure if it's like that for all versions. Lured in with the power of time that this carnival holds, I believe TXT's desire to be to freeze time at the hour between dog and wolf, or to at least re-experience and change events of a certain moment like they did in this dance. I honestly can't wait to dive into their world, which I will hopefully be doing once I'm done with this video. I'm sure there's a lot more I'll understand once I do. Anyways, we're not done with TXT and Blue Hour just yet, so stay tuned. Dear enhypen, welcome everyone who has reached this place after a long journey. We invite you to this grand carnival, a time when life and death are mixed up and down, and order is overthrown. We wait for the day we will meet. Enhypen is the first group to officially introduce us to this carnival, as they're the first one to call its name. It's showcased within their concept photos, lyric videos, and music videos, and even has an entire album named after it. Within enhypen's story, the carnival seems to manifest itself in two ways. A carnival much like the one we've seen in andteam's Under the Skin, and a castle. For what reason this may be, I do have an idea, but we'll talk more about how this carnival presents itself later in the video. So, what is it about this castle that lures them in? What blessing does this carnival promise to them? As mentioned earlier, I do believe that the carnival promises them power over time, but for enhypen in particular, it's the power to become time itself. In their intro song, The Invitation, the lyrics read, "An invitation calls to us from the carnival of the dazzling night. So we beat on the door of this flipped world, brought here by fate. Whether the harvest feast of light or a festival of blood, time harmonizes, laughs, and screams. Death once dead, there's no dying then. So we gladly swallow time like it's our last breath." And so they do. They take part in this feast offered to them from this carnival, and in a sense, become lords of time. vampires. Creatures whose life, much like time, goes on for eternity. We then see the events of this take place in their music video Drunk-Dazed, where we see them in royal attire, drinking blood for what we assume is their first bite. And throughout the music video, we see them trapped within the carnival, unable to escape their thirst. In their Japanese music video of Tamed, we see what I assume is them escaping the carnival. They sing about the fiery thirst they still carried, and their desire to run away. We see them once again mirror time in the scene with Jake, where he sits upon a broken carousel and runs around himself like a horse on a merry-go-round. We then see him become this horse, unable to control himself. This is where we really start to wonder, is this gift of time a blessing or a curse? This carnival makes an appearance again in andteam's music video Under the Skin. In their music video, Fuma pushes open the door to this carnival and beckons them inside. This beckoning we've also seen in TXT's Blue Hour as well. They arrive in the night and dance with the fireworks as the sky behind them changes. In what ways is this connected to the other carnivals we've seen? Our first clue is the Ferris wheel, which is a prominent attraction in Blue Hour, and also appears in the dusk version of enhypen's Border Day 1 photo book. We also don't really see a carousel, but if you watch the choreography version of their music video, we get a bigger picture. It's possible that they allude to this carousel in the video when we see lights dance around Haruwa like a merry-go-round. And while this is just a theory, I believe this carousel to be the time machine mentioned in Blue Hour, which makes Haruwa at the center of it even more intriguing, as he is who I believe to be the time traveler in this story. For more theories on Haruwa's connection to time, I definitely recommend checking out my lore video on his character, as I do go a bit more in depth there. Of course, these aren't the only connections that we see. Some of you may know the dance for the main chorus pretty well, if you've watched or taken a part of the Under the Skin challenge. The movements for this part, Tada Sagashiru one more time, goes like this, and it's like that for a majority of the video. However, when they're at the carnival later, the movement changes. One more time. The image of their dance reminds us of a clock, going forward or maybe even back in time. And then of course we have the timestamps we mentioned previously, that, for the most part, seem to go back in time after the appearance of the carnival. The sky also seems to change from night to day throughout the video, as if showing us that the carnival is outside of time, or that time is constantly changing. At this moment, what their desire with time is or how they're using it, we have yet to see. My only theory that I have right now is in the song. Where are you? I'm simply searching. One more time. I believe them to be searching, trying to find someone who is lost in time. Or maybe someone who is just lost. We also have yet to see what effect this carnival will have on them. Will this desire also entrap them, becoming addicted to whatever cursed gift the carnival promises them? Unlike in enhypen and TXT, there's not a lot of content to work with just yet, but maybe in their first comeback, we'll get a better idea on what's happening in their story. The second promise that the carnival seems to give is transformation. And now I'm going to apologize for this very brief moment of bad French. Entre-chat et loup is my very butchered version of the French phrase that translates to the hour between dog and wolf, lyrics that we've heard in TXT's Blue Hour. This particular phrase has different meanings, one of them directly referring to the time between day and night. And, as you may have guessed, another meaning is transformation. It's a time where it's difficult to distinguish between the dog of the day and the wolf of the night. Again, I don't know a lot about the TXT lore just yet, but I'm sure some of you may have more of an idea of what this means, if it means anything at all. If they're hoping to stay in the hour between dog and wolf, then it could be that they want to stay in a moment where they don't transform, where they remain as they are in that world of dreams. Or it could be that they want to remain in the hour where they continue to change and transform, a time where they can be both the dog and the wolf before the sun has a chance to set. We see enhypen endure this transformation throughout their album Border Carnival. Everything changes. Everything crumbles. I reach past the locked door. Pain welcomes me. A feast of thirst. Honestly, I'm scared. My reflection in the mirror is unfamiliar. The pitiful truth behind this mask. But I never escape. After entering the carnival and taking part of this feast, they transform into lords of time. However, by doing so, they sacrifice a part of who they once were. The questions I have here are, by putting on this mask, are they really hiding their true selves? Or are they becoming who they're meant to be? Or is it, now that they've transformed, when they take off this mask, do they no longer recognize the person in that mirror? And this is where the differences in the groups come to be. While the other groups speak of this transformation, andteam speaks of revealing their true selves. As you know, the boys here are werewolves. They transform in the night when the moon rises, but they're not transforming into someone else. Werewolves are just who they are. Everybody tells me to be normal. Blend in, don't stand out. I don't care. But I prove that I'm me. Slowly awakened under the skin, they howl out to one another, announcing their identities to each other and the world. If the carnival promises transformation, it's possible that andteam rejects this, as they do not need to become someone else, but accept and rejoice in who they are as werewolves. Despite these core elements of the carnival, you may be wondering, how could they be the same when they appear differently? I do believe that the carnival manifests itself differently for each group, depending on who they are and what it is they desire. For TXT, we see what seems to be a magical place. For enhypen, we see a castle and Venetian masks, along with a royal feast and attire. This, of course, reflects them becoming lords of time, taking order for themselves. And then we have andteam, whose desire has yet to be revealed. The difference in their manifestation is a drive-in theater we see here, which I believe connects to the video camera and timestamps we see throughout the video. Of course, there are some other similarities like the door that they use to enter the carnival, the mention of night and day in enhypen's outro Cross the Line, and the appearance of night and day within the carnival in andteam's music video. The lyrics "One More Time" that we see in Blue Hour and Under the Skin, hinting at their desire, and the list can definitely go on. While I do believe them to be the same carnival, there is one large difference between andteam and the others. I mentioned before that there was a calling, and I do believe that to be the case for their carnival as well. But while enhypen sings about this voice that calls to them multiple times, andteam sings about their voices being the ones that reach out. I'm not quite sure what this means in terms of story, though I do have my theories. It could very well just be completely irrelevant, but I did want to bring it up just in case it becomes relevant in the future. I also may talk about my theories on this a bit more in a later video called Connections. And there we have it, the carnival, a concept that's existence may or may not be relevant in the future. After all, these are just theories and are not confirmed. With only one lore music video, we don't quite know how big this carnival may be in the story of andteam, if at all. But with its importance in the hybe universe and the many coincidences between what we have seen so far, I thought it would be a good idea to draw out what this carnival looked like in other stories, to get an idea of what we may see in this one. The last thought I'd like to share about this carnival is, what happens when they escape? In both TXT and enhypen stories, they talk about being trapped in their dreams, being so addicted to their desire that they don't want to leave. However, at least as far as I'm aware for enhypen, they do eventually escape and hint at a few things. First is the island they seem to wake up on after their escape, and the second is the world they meet. Multiple dimensions wait for us. There might be a world where day and night coexist. Of course, this would be far in the future for andteam's story, but just another thing to look out for. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.